So we've been kind of railroading our friend Melissa here. That's not very kind, but oh, no, I want to hear. I want her to be able to kind of tell her story and what kind of led you to this time off that you're taking and taking care of you without getting yourself in any trouble. Because
I know that's like I'm like, ugh, how do I do this? Yeah. It's just there's a lot of like you were saying, behind the scenes stuff going on in my life with my private life, with my family and immediate family, and there's a whole lot of not so great choices being made by, people that I really love and care about. And so just and then dealing with the family members that want to enmesh themselves in that. And then it's just been a big pile of yuck at home. And then dealing with clients and the current political climate that we're all in and seeing a few of my clients, I could probably cry right now about it, but being just kicked off aid because they're not allowed to have aid now. And so that's just been heartbreaking to me. And then just that whole idea that it does start with you. And just, it's the behind the scenes stuff at work as well, where there's the system in place is broken and it takes so long to get services for the people who are on aid and to have my clients in need and not be able to get those services to them and trying to manage all of that inside of myself. And it all just kind of came to a place where it was just like, I am not functioning well right now.
Mhm.
And so I've had a therapist on hand, God bless her, for off and on for since the time of my divorce, which was 12 years ago. And being able to just meet with her and her to know me so well. And it came down to exactly how long do you want to do this? Do you want to do something different? Is there something else we could do that would help you in a better way? And I was finally at that point where recognizing, yeah, I do need to do something else before something really scary happens, where I actually have like a real break that requires a whole lot more assistance and a whole lot more hands-on services to kind of come back from it. And so that's when it was like, yeah, I do need to do something different right now. And so I ended up taking a little bit of time to myself. So, yeah.
And is it helping?
It really is.
Yes.
It really is. I don't know how do I admit this. Right before this all came to be, I was heading on holiday up to Seattle, and one of a friend of a friend that was going to be joining us as we did some activities with some other friends. She's got her own little personal drama thing going on that was like so fixable and just it was just and I was actually feeling physically violent towards her to where I said to my friend who was hosting the whole thing, I said, she is not safe around me. I am not safe around her. And that was just so shocking to me that that actually came out of my mouth. And it's like, oh, wow. Oh, wow. This
Mhm.
is not good. Because usually I'm pretty stiff nosed. I'm just
Yeah.
pretty much just kind of, you know, and ask people, it's like, well, what do you think about that? And how do you feel about that? And what do you want to do about that? And kind of a attitude and ask the questions, to kind of help people solve their own thing. And here I was feeling unsafe around someone who is unable to cope with their own chosen path. And so, yeah, that was really
Mhm.
interesting to me. And that really helped me once I went to therapy the next week and then all of that. And then with the therapist helping me understand that, yeah, this is not good. And let's talk about this and what can we do about it. So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you being so vulnerable because I don't think a lot of us talk about these type of things, and like normalize that our mental health is just as important as our physical health.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
like, if I had a chronic illness that is flaring up, like, I don't think anybody would bat an eyelash if I took 6 to 8 weeks off to heal my colon or my,
Right.
you know, uh, appendix or spleen. I don't know. I don't know body part. I don't know
Hmm.
anatomy, but nobody's going to really bat an eye at that. But it's like,
Hmm.
how do we, sometimes we feel so, um, stigmatized by saying I just need some time to like recalibrate
Yeah.
and feel like myself again. And um, sometimes disconnecting is the way to do it. That's not the only way to do it, but it's
Right.
one of them. We have to make that normal, and it's okay.
And even though it's like I understood and I agreed that that's what I needed to do for myself, even still, I couldn't just walk away from my job.
Mhm.
I took a week at my job to put everything in a place that was as good as it could be for my team to take it
Right.
over.
Right.
And that was even more excruciating and and just so horrible to my soul because to know that the team that I'm working with right now is a little understaffed and to say surprise here's 60 more cases to manage and that was just heartbreaking to me that I
Mhm.
was doing that to them and um but I felt like because I'm a good person I
Yeah.
couldn't just say here's this dumpster fire of 30 cases I can't do. And so I had to put everything and put a bow on top of it. And which makes me think about, that early on with this whole situation, I actually met with my supervisor and I told her, I said, I'm one of those people that, and she's that people that she's actually said it. And then another coworker has said it. I'm one of those people that need all of my work in a box with a lid and a bow on top. And I told her, I said, I have so many fucking boxes without lids right now, and I couldn't even tell you where the goddamn ribbon is right now. And she just, she didn't
Yeah.
quite know what to do with that, but
Yeah.
that's who I am. It's like
Right.
I need everything has to have its bow on top,
Yeah.
or I don't feel like my world is right. And
Mhm.
so I find as many lid as I could
Yeah.
before I left, and get those bows on top. And no, and even the program manager was like, why are you here this week? You've
Mhm.
told us you're struggling and you want to be home. And I had to say to him, nobody is making me do this. I am choosing to do this. And he's like, okay, but you have to take care of yourself, which
Yeah.
was just to know that I had
Mhm.
that support behind me. And they're like, and he kept, nobody is telling you you need to be here to this week, right? Nobody.
Right.
And no, nobody's telling me I need to do this. I did it for myself and I had to do it. And yeah, so even then, even knowing I needed help, I still hung in there for a little bit longer.
As the helper that you are, yes.
Well, but that's what you're talking about. You're recognizing that we need help, accepting that we need help, and taking the help
Yeah.
is like, it's really hard sometimes.
It really is. Let's flip this over. I always love the B side. Um, if one of your coworkers was struggling and just came in on Friday and said, I gotta go,
I've done it.
and
I've done it.
you would have
Yeah.
said, leave it, we'll figure it out. And you wouldn't feel, even if you
Not
were busy, even
not
if you
for
were
a
overwhelmed,
moment.
you
Not
would
for
have,
a moment. We'll handle it.
yeah,
I've
exactly.
done it. I've said it,
Yep.
you know?
And so this is where
Yeah.
we have to like this is like a learning lesson for me. I just and because I'm very similar. I don't want anybody to be inconvenienced. What can I
Yeah,
get ready for you?
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But here we're gonna get the B side here. I had to really kind of remind myself as a helper. I love being able to step in someone's crisis and be able to support them. And so it gives me a lot of joy. I feel good about it. I'm taking that load off of them. And so every time that I have to self-correct and don't give people the full opportunity, I'm robbing them.
You're
I'm robbing
right.
them of
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
opportunity to be as
Yeah.
supportive because
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like, no, I know both of my arms are broken, but I can keep carrying this rock. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
take that away. So this is not to shame you at all.
No,
Yeah, but
and this
yeah,
now that you're saying it that way, it's like the leadership guru Simon Sinek
yeah.
has a reel on that where he talks about how him and his buddy were out riding and they took a break and he said to his buddy, "You're that person I would call if I was really in a crisis."
Mhm.
And his buddy said to him, "I'd be pissed if you didn't."
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just like that's
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. And
Yeah.
it's like the people wanted to be able to help me and I didn't
Yeah.
let them. I
Yeah.
took away an opportunity for them too.
It's
I'll
okay.
do better.
That's all we, and I don't get it right all the time.
Yeah.
She's been trying to help me all week. And I'm like,
I know, and then I feel
Shoot.
guilty.
And then she feels guilty. She's not helping. I'm like, I don't need the help. Listen, I'm in my element right now. I'm doing my
I'm just
thing.
gonna go sit in the sun and
Yeah.
drink my beer, and you just go ahead and toil in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's like this feels so wrong.
Yeah. But it feels so right for me because that's my thing. But no, but I, this is like another way that we can support each other. You know, we're all struggling at different times. We're not all at 100% all of the time.
Mhm.
Sometimes if we're all at a good 60, we're doing big things, you know,
Right.
a lot
Right.
going on.
Mhm.
And so where we can really kind of love each other, you know, even professionally, is to let the people support and you support them. And we create this reciprocity without doing like the quid pro quo. Well, I did this for you, so now you owe me. That's not the way we want it to go. But creating that environment
Mhm.
of support and knowing that you needing help is not an inconvenience to anybody else. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotta remember that.
Yeah. It's hard.
Mhm.
We're strong, independent
Heavy
women.
sigh. Right.
Yeah, we're strong, independent women. We can do it all. But you know, this is what Mr. Salcido taught me. Just because I can do it all doesn't mean I have to. Doesn't
Yeah,
mean I have to. And I have to act like I wasn't I'm a great helper. I wasn't always good at being helped. And now that I've learned how to be helped, they've created a monster because now now I advocate for ask for help all the time. I've learned it, but it's just from crashing and burning so many times and deciding I just don't want to live
Mm.
like that. It's just not fun. Not a good time.
Mm.
I'm here for a good time, not a long time. You know what I mean? So how do I create the
Right.
best space for me? I'm living my best life. Remember, living my best life.
Yeah. The only
I
one you
love
get.
it.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing
Unless I
that,
come
Melissa.
back as a frog.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As a frog?
That's why
Oh, okay.
I might come back as a frog. I don't know why frog came to me, but maybe because I've been watching the stuff in Portland. Maybe I want to come back as an inflatable frog. I don't know. I don't know yet. We'll figure
Cool.
out.
Not bad.
Well,
I like
Well,
that.
maybe I'll be a
well,
unicorn.
let's make that our question of the week. So, if you were to come back, if reincarnation is a thing, what would you like to come back as? Or who would you like to come back as?
Ooh.
I would like I would like to come back as one of my dogs.
I was gonna say Tiffany's dog, who is absolutely living his best life.
She's we all cater to Dodger is the king of our whole entire life revolves around Dodger's needs and what his moods are and what he wants from us.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, he's looking a little tired. What should we do?
yeah.
We
Should
gotta fix this.
we gotta tuck him in. Hold on, Dodger needs to tuck in.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
We could
would want
all
to come back as one of my dogs. That's what I would like to be reincarnated as.
we could all take a lesson from dogs because they let us know when they need something. So, yeah, for sure.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
How
tells
about you,
us when
Melissa?
he's not happy.
I was gonna say that was my first thought was Tiffany's dog because he's just living his best life, and or my friend Denise has golden retrievers, and they're catered to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I was just telling Tiffany there was like a reel on this morning on TikTok about, and it starts out with the Young and the Restless music, and it's like just another episode of those the unemployed and what lazy and unemployed, and it was a pit bull laying in a bed.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. That's pretty much how we like we just he's so spoiled.
Yeah.
His food, his whole like you would think like most people feed their dogs, they put their kibble in a bowl and that's it. No. No, that's not how we live here. We have to mix his dog food, his prescription dog food with 100% organic pumpkin puree and you have to mix it ever so gently and then make the tower and then my husband has to do the UFO where he has to like whistle and move the plate around.
Carl's face.
Because
And then you have to swab it in front of his face three times, not twice, three times. And then you put it on the floor and he might eat it.
and you light a
Um,
candle and crack an egg and say something, and do all that, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
pretty much
yeah.
how it goes. And so he's had that ear thing because he had surgery a few weeks ago. And so I've got to clean his ear
Mhm.
every morning. And he already knows that now when he gets his ear cleaned, there's a treat at the end, three treats, not one, not two, three pieces of bacon is what he is looking for when his ear gets cleaned. And
Oh,
if you just stop at two, he's like three. you counted wrong. And we all are like, oh shit, he didn't get his third piece with his bacon. And we give him his piece of bacon. He's the most spoiled dog in the whole wide world, but he's handsome. So
Oh, yeah, and he
I
goes
won't
everywhere
change.
with you guys. So yeah, that's awesome.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
We there was one of the graduates in the class yesterday. She has a dog she takes everywhere with her, and it's a Shar Pei. I, I think it might be a Shar Pei mix, but it's definitely a Shar Pei. And he came to every class. He sits in the corner. She has a bed laid out for him, and the whole day is catered to him. He doesn't make a sound. He's super cool and chilled,
Can't relate
well
to that.
trained.
Yeah.
And every now and then he'll
Can't
come
relate
up
to
and
that.
nuzzle her. Yeah, every now he'll come up and nuzzle her, and she'll go and sit down on the floor with him while she's learning. And it's just, it's such a great relationship. It's so cute. In fact, her sponsor, when he said something about her at the graduation, he was talking about, how supportive and how present this person was all the time. And he goes, and now I'm going to talk about Dr. Klein, but Roscoe is definitely who I was talking about, right? So it was so cool, right? And you can tell it just really, it's something people respond to. And, it's, because you hear people, oh, you have to bring your dog or things like that. Well, what is going to help you get to that point? And as helping professionals, because everyone in that room was a helping professional, everyone in this room right now is a helping professional, right? Sometimes we're so used to helping others that we forget how much that we need help and that, to ask for help, right? It's just like with managers. I mean, you've seen it, Tiff. I mean, how many times have managers sent their whole team to training and then managers themselves won't get that training? They'll call in sick or I have a meeting, I have to do this. When how important is it for them to be able to
Right.
be fed as much as their staff, right? And so
Yeah.
it's part of being healthy and well is getting that different perspective, getting that support, asking for the support that you need, and being able to ask for it and receive it
Passport.
without judgment. I mean, how powerful is that? But it's so hard because, inherently we judge, right? And
Yeah.
if we're in work mode and we got to get stuff done and we got these numbers to meet and these errors to make sure we don't make, oh, okay, oh, this person, oh, they're taking time off. It's the end of the month. It's blackout period. What are we going to do, right? We have all these reports. You have all these reports that haven't been done, and, so just be able to recognize when the support is needed. You never can tell when it's going to happen, but to receive it and recognize this is going to keep this person well. So when they come back, they'll be able to support the next person who might need that break or that breath, right? And as much as we give out energy and it helps us, that serotonin and those chemicals that are released in us when we are helping others, like you said, you got to give other people a chance to help you. And that's definitely, and if I had to come back, I want to come back as a orca.
I was
So
going to ask you, an
I
orca?
love, yeah, I love orcas. They're
Do you want to be a
social.
murderer? You want to be killer whale? A killer whale.
I I eat meat already, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And but I'm I social when I need to be. Sometimes I can be alone, but also the orcas are very empathetic, right? They have emotions within their group, right? And they stay with their pod. And most of my friends that I call my close friends, I've known for 35, 40 years, right? So, that's kind of we keep our pack. We trust, we know what to expect when we need help, right? There's people who if they need help, yeah, no problem, I got you. And they'll do the same for me, right? And so I really appreciate that in that I have a group of people that I can depend on without judgment, and they might just say, is everything okay? What's going on? Which is not a judgment. It's actually a chance for you to say, this is what I'm experiencing right now. Right. And so to have that, it is, you know, just as good as any therapy you can get, as long as you have that group of friends that are there for you. Right. Just like
We know.
these two here on the screen. Right. You know, you're lucky to have
Well,
each
can
other.
I say, yeah, yeah, can I, and I'll like our friendship, it was exactly how it happened. She came up to me after a class and she said, we're friends now. And I said, okay, sounds good. because you get lonely on the road. I'm not even gonna lie. You're going on and on and on. And as much as I'm surrounded by people, it's very rare that somebody will say, "Hey, do you want to come to lunch today?" I go to lunch by myself. Whatever. So when she invited me, I said, "Yeah, let's go." And we found out we had a lot in common. We share a lot of similar energy. Um, and so it just was like a budding friendship. And then she came to San Diego and she called me. I don't live too far from San Diego, and she called me and she was like, "Hey, you want to come play?" And I said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, let's go." And
Yeah,
so my she hadn't met my husband yet, so I brought him and we ran the streets of San Diego
we did.
all day,
We
had a
did.
good time,
And most of the night.
and most night. And that's when I found out I'm a resource investigator. It's my team role because you don't question the pizza,
Don't question the pizza.
you eat the pizza,
Yeah.
and then the cake will come shortly after.
Mhm.
So that's another time.
Yeah.
But I just showed up with some Costco pizza out of nowhere, but whatever.
Yeah. It was funny.
Resource investigator,
Yeah.
and then we just always vibed, and so we go to Tahoe almost every year together. We ride bikes, we have traveled, done all kinds of little trips, and
Mhm.
when I'm in the area, I try to touch base with her and spend some time, and when she's in my area, same thing. um and it's what I love about this kind of friendship is that she's got her life going on and I have my life going on, and there's no we haven't talked in 2 months. How come you
No,
like it's
no.
just when our worlds collide, it's like we pick up where we left off. And
Mhm.
we've been together for a little over a week now, and
I know, huh?
tomorrow, we have to go back to living like regular human beings, which is stupid, but
For like a week.
for a week. It's really hard. We're really suffering here. But with that being said, we may not talk every day. We might go a few months without like talking to each other. But I also know that if I needed someone like, hey, I need a friend right now, she's gonna be there. And same thing, if she texted me and said, "Can we talk?" I'm gonna drop what I'm doing and we're gonna have a talk. And that's like to me like one of the like beautiful things about developing your tribe, your
Right.
group of people. You have
Healthy friendships. Yeah.
healthy friendships that are not codependent and that are also very understanding, and you just meet people where they're at. And so again, when she's saying I'm going to take some time off, I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
I know the exact place where you this is our my yard, by the way. This is where we've been sitting all day. The picture, the background this time is like
Yeah.
literally what we've been looking at all week. And I just like I knew that this place would be healing
Mhm.
because it's such a
Yeah.
um I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but it's such a place for me to
Right.
just be. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm still doing all the other stuff I do in my life. It's really just interesting, but there's just something magical about this desert that I wanted
Mhm.
to share with her. And I'm really glad that she came and
Yeah.
took me up on that invitation.
Yeah. It's been amazing.
Hmm.
It's like the silence at first was almost uncomfortable
Hmm.
because it's literally silent outside. And then just and then that view out there is like you could do a little better with that.
I'm trying.
Yeah. So,
I'm trying.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then just the zero light pollution and looking at stars. I'm kind of a little bit of a star person, and it's just been so relaxing. And I haven't told a lot of people that I went to Mexico because a lot of people, you say you're going to Mexico, that means you're going to an all-inclusive resort and it's just going to be a big party. And like, no, that's not what's happening here. Not at all.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, definitely not
right.
luxury, but
Sit outside and watch the wind blow. It's beautiful.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. So people have that in mind. Mexico's either all-inclusive resort or be careful and don't get robbed, and and you have to pay people off.
Yeah.
So you have those two extremes when what 90%, 95% of your experiences in Mexico just is daily life and how people, you know, interact with
Yeah.
each other in a human way, right? And like you said,
Right. The
being near
big
the
chilling.
water,
Exactly.
yeah, just
Right.
rejuvenating.
It's
Yeah.
been amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
and here nobody's in a hurry to do anything. So
Right.
They're on
Yeah.
mañana
it's
time. Is
all
that what you're saying?
vibes. So
Yeah.
almost everybody that lives in this like part of the community where we live at is retired. My arm looks super weird right now, but I'm gonna go with it. My chair is there.
I see that. Yeah.
Everybody's retired. So even trivia night, even when we were going to trivia, she's like, "What time does trivia start?" I'm like, 3 o'clock. She's like, in the afternoon. I said, nobody's got jobs here. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Everybody's retired. They got to get trivia out of the way because dinner's at 5:30 and then
Yeah.
they got to go to bed
Bedtime
by
to
7.
7. As soon as
And
it
90
starts,
Day
it's like,
fin
I'm out. Yeah.
yeah. You got to get
Yeah.
trivia done before
So
90 Day Fiance, right? I mean, that's an important thing, right?
exactly, exactly. But yeah, so no, but it's like everybody's relaxed here, and I think that's part of it too,
Mhm.
because people are relaxed here. They're not
Yeah.
like not to say that nobody here works. We have like I'm still working here. There's a psychiatrist that is here in town that he does virtual appointments, and so he has a job. There's a lot of people who like freelance. We have another podcast person here that does a podcast called Turn Left at the Cactus, and maybe we'll have to talk to them one day. And but most of the people are retired and literally just living to live, and
Right.
there's no pressure and nobody gets dressed up here. You haven't seen any
No,
prom dress.
it's
Everybody.
all, everything's so relaxed.
Hmm.
Well, just like going to trivia. It's like Mr. Salcido didn't want to go to trivia. Tiffany was working, and he was just like, "Hey, it's our friend Melissa. She wants to play trivia." And they're like, "Let's play." No question, just join the group. So,
Yep. Yeah.
and they were lucky
Because you were the
I got the
one.
randoms. I got the random facts down.
Yeah. But I mean, but it's just, I think that this is one of the things that and this is like not the podcast about like how cool San Felipe, Mexico is, but what I'm saying is like for me, for my healing, being in this type of environment and being able to have this like sort of community where you can just show up and
Yeah, there's no expectations.
none. And so you don't have any social pressure to look a certain way or dress a certain way or um, we went to Canadian Thanksgiving, like all we did was put like sundresses on. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And they were like, "Oh, you guys are dressed up like you're going to church." And we were like,
We were like, what? Flip flops on,
yeah, wear on because
Yeah.
we were wearing little sundresses and I threw on some lip gloss, so we were really fancy that day. We should have put
Yeah.
our tiaras on to complete the look.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
but it's just I don't know. For me, this is like my therapy to come here and just exist. And I'm one of my coping mechanisms is cooking. So when I feel stressed, that's almost always like where I go because it's meditative for me to be in the kitchen and make carrot cakes without pineapple because it's better. We know how controversial that is. But I loved here, like even on our way here, I had stopped at I was working in Carlsbad, which oh, by the way, I got to be keynote for the Owens Valley Career Development Center
Yeah.
at their gathering conference before we came here. And that was just amazingly wonderful. And I just love all of the people. It was such a great week. Great community there as well. So one of the nights, because what they do is so awesome because they do workshops and stuff for them in the morning and then in the afternoon they either have curated self-care stuff or they could give them free time where they get to practice self-care. So like knowing that that's part of their organization I think is just amazing. But with that being said, one of the nights I was off, we went to a farmer's market and we were in line for bread, and I ended up getting these yogurts, that the really good, really freaking good yogurts. And one of them tastes like lemon curd. And I told her, got this lemon yogurt. So now I have to bake bread so that I can make French toast so we can put the lemon curd yogurt on the French toast.
And it was very good.
And so that was like our first thing. I get in the kitchen here and bake some fresh bread. Why not? Because I needed to make French toast. And it was good French toast.
Mhm.
And it came out exactly how I wanted it to. So I don't know why that's where that story came from, but here we are. Oh, because
The baking.
cooking. Because cooking. The cooking and the baking and just like coming back to the earth here is just meditative. Um, and it definitely helps me with my mental health.
Simple life.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so we've talked about, what you're able to do there and how it's helpful and how it's helped you, Melissa, how it's really been. I mean, most of the our podcast, you've lived in Mexico and talking about how it works. But not everyone has, Mexico. No, not everyone has San Felipe, right? So
Right.
Not everyone has that place that they can go for rejuvenation, that's naturally there, right? Some people have to find ways to recharge at home or recharge just in their life with their kids. Some folks, have, a full life outside of their office, right? So, just thinking about that, just what are some ways that, where we can find that opportunity to de-stress, to rejuvenate, to build up that emotional battery, to be able to give that compassion. And that's the thing, just even before we go there, right? That secondary traumatic stress, burnout, that's, it's called compassion fatigue, right? Where and why it's called that is because you're too wrapped up in how you're feeling and your emotions and the results of those to be able to give compassion to other
Mhm.
folks as freely as you want, right? Compassion satisfaction is, yeah, I'm in the grind, I'm busy, but I'm able to give that compassion even though it's exhausting, and I'm able to recharge my battery, right? So how are we able to maintain that level of compassion satisfaction just on a daily basis? How are, what are some little things that you all look for to be able to do that?
Well, what's really excellent question, and what's really interesting is about when did I divorced in what, 2014, it started in 2012. And so I went through a phase in my life where I had to separate from my husband. Um, the biggest piece was my children, and they weren't children at the time. They were over 18, but one of them was going to have to find his own place to live. He was living with us and he was going to have to find his own place to live. I had to sell the house that I actually built by hand with my own hands. I was a behaviorist for children with special needs, and that was my passion job. And I had to give up that job in order to leave this marriage because I couldn't support myself in that job. I had to give it up. So I had to start a new job. I had to learn how to use computers because as a behaviorist, I was outside all day. And now all of a sudden I got to learn how to use computers. So I had to start a new job where I sit at a desk. And not only that, I had to learn 5 different programs. And then on top of all of that, turns out we had a genetic cancer in our family. And my nephew died from it. His father, my brother, turns out he was stage 2 and had no idea because it's a silent killer. And then turns out my sister had it. And then luckily the gene did not pass to me. So then none of my kids and I don't have it and can't pass it to them. And all of this was going on. And I didn't have time to look up the test, that there's a test that you can take for stress and the level of stress in your body and, what's high, what's low. And the really high level on that was 20 as far as what your score was, the score, whatever, however they scored it. And then I took that test for that period of time and I was at 37 for all the things that had gone wrong and the death and the divorce and all of that. I was at a 37 when high was considered 20. And I look back at that, and I've dealt with this situation and myself, I finally picked up a book that I bought like 3 years ago from a podcast where I was listening to Brene Brown, and it's called Burnout. And I started reading it, and it was just this whoa moment because in that book, to answer your question, it talks about ways to combat burnout. And one of the things was physical exercise. And during that period of time when all of this was going on, I was an avid kickboxer. And so 5 days a week, 3 to 5 days a week, I was going to a gym where we actually had real kickboxing where we had catcher's mitts or we had boxing gloves. And so you're either catching for somebody or you're boxing. And so I had that outlet going like 3 to 5 days a week. Plus I walked 2 miles a day every morning. And then I also, what else was I doing? But that physical outlet is what kept me alive during that time and helped me not feel like I was feeling right now, even though it was even worse than it is right now. And that was what it was that physical exercise. But also within that book, it's called Burnout. It's by Emily Nagotsky and Emily and there's two girls. Amelia and Emily Nagotsky wrote this book. And it's physical activity, meditation, or some sort of creative outlet. And any of those three things is going to help with that type of burnout and that type of stress. And so, but it was just such a, it's like that book's been sitting on my shelf for 3 years, and I finally took the time to read it, and it was just like this moment, and just to say that's why that period of time wasn't as terrible as how I was feeling right now. And so that was a real eye opener. Anyway, so long answer.